Good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to FSU Weather Thursday edition. And what a show we have planned for you today. You see over Doak Campbell Stadium, those clouds are persisting as Mindy made its way through early this morning. Currently 85 degrees in Tallahassee and mostly cloudy with a bit of a breeze coming through. Our satellite radar, you can see Mindy up here off the coast of almost the Carolinas, moving its way off, but still dragging that rainfall behind it that we're going to have to look out for. Tonight, 72 degrees with isolated showers from those storms falling off of the back end of Mindy. And as for tomorrow, another warm day, 88 degrees with scattered storms and a bit of a breeze coming through as well. As for our headlines, Mindy and Larry are still out there. Weekend storms are possible as that storm continues to move off the coast. An NFL kickoff and FSU game day this weekend. All this and more on FSU Weather.
Good evening and welcome back to FSU Weather. It feels so good to finally be back behind the camera. And you know what else is great? This sunset we have going on over Doak Campbell Stadium right now. We have the sun finally peeking through the cloud base that has persisted after Tropical Storm Mindy moved through the area last night. And that's going to keep temperatures sort of cooler today. We're at 85, mostly cloudy, and we have a westerly wind of about 5 miles per hour coming in on the backside of that storm, which you'll be able to see sort of the remnants appearing behind me on the radar. Notice we have a few pop-ups south of our area near Apalachicola. Along the I-10 corridor, we have some clouds. And that's to be expected in the aftermath of a tropical system. But notice you have this one line of storms moving south throughout Georgia, and that's actually going to bring some clearer conditions to our area as we head into the weekend. But zooming out for a grand scale, notice that little swirl off the coast of South Carolina is this tropical depression Mindy. Made quite the noise as it came through Tallahassee yesterday evening, bringing storms, rain, a lot of wind. We'll get to that later on, but that is what has caused the disturbed weather throughout our area for the past 48-ish hours. Temperature-wise, we are very warm across our viewing area. 85 in Tallahassee, 86 in Quincy. Temperatures a little bit warmer in Thomasville, where we have more of that continental air coming down. Cooler air is usually when it comes from over land. Rather than down by the coast, we have air coming up off the sea. That is warmer air, and that is bringing all of this moisture. Our dew points remain high. That is why, even though it's cooler outside, it is still going to feel hotter outside, as indicated by our heat index. 89 in Tallahassee right now, but as you go north up to Bainbridge and Quincy, 92, it is feeling very hot up there. Notice the winds today are actually quite interesting because notice we have all types of directions. Along your I-10 corridor, we have winds coming in from the west. North up in Georgia, we have winds coming from the north. And down by the coast, we have winds coming from the south. And what we're going to have to watch over the next few days is for these winds to sort of collide and pop up some thunderstorms. And that's what we're seeing along the I-10 corridor. But as we look ahead for the next 24 hours throughout radar, we have some of those pop-up showers I mentioned from the colliding winds over Valdosta and the eastern portions of our viewing area. But for Tallahassee, we might see a rain sprinkle or two, but mostly cloud cover for us as you head into your weekend. Taking a look at the week ahead, however, game day looks great. We'll get to more on that later. But we do have about a 20 to 30 to 40% chance of thunderstorms each day as we head into the week. And for more on the southeastern forecast, I'm going to pass things to Josh.
Thank you, Jonathan. Oh, here we go. How about now? Sound good? Perfect. I'm back. Thank you. Here's those temperatures I was talking about when you couldn't hear me. 91 down there in Miami. Very mild to warm temperatures, even getting up to 85 here in Tallahassee. We've got muggy conditions out there too right now. 69 of a dew point here in Tallahassee, 75 down in Miami. So those dew points are definitely going to affect how it feels out there with that heat index. For our winds right now, pretty mild in the southeast. 5 miles per hour here in Tallahassee, 15 down in Tampa where the game is going to be held tonight, so we got to watch out for those winds a little bit. down 9 miles per hour at the Miami International Airport. You can actually see how these winds are kind of curving in a counterclockwise direction. Those are those tailwinds following the storm that just passed through our area last night. For our satellite and radar, we've got a lot of rain in the Gulf to our south right now. For our viewing area, we're pretty in the clear. We've got some showers that could be pushing through from this weak front that's kind of pushing in from our north. Down here in Florida, we've got a lot of pop-up showers in central Florida as well down into south, but those also seem to be clearing out into the evening hours. For today's storm outlook, all of Florida, as well as the Panhandle, up through the Atlantic coast, all the way up through South and North Carolina, have a slight chance for thunderstorms today. And as for our storm outlook tomorrow, we can see all the way here from the Treasure Coast up through the Daytona Beach area, all the way up to about St. Augustine, Jacksonville, and a little bit to the west, covering also the Orlando area. We're going to see a marginal possibilities for these storms as well. And also for the rest of the state of Florida, also could see some of those thunderstorms start popping up. And as for the day after, day 3, the entire state of Florida is going to be seeing a chance of those thunderstorms as well again, extending all the way through the coastal areas of the Gulf Coast, all the way down through the coast of Texas as well. Over the next 48 hours, we're going to see some clearing as we come into tonight and tomorrow. But as we advance, we're going to see some showers start to come back into our area once Saturday afternoon, evening comes around. But as for tomorrow, we should be in the clear because of that front that's going to be pushing some of that moisture out of our area. As for tonight, we're going to be feeling very cool temperatures actually, 68 here in Tallahassee, up to the north in Montgomery, 60, even the upper 50s here in Tupelo, and 61 over in Little Rock. As for tomorrow, we're going to see very warm temperatures, 92 up in Little Rock, 92 in Miami as well. But as for now, we're going to throw things off to the desk to talk about that storm that just passed through.
Right, we had a huge effect here from Tropical Storm Mindy, not in a particularly powerful storm, but we're about to play a video showing what it looked like on Landis Green last night. It was very windy and we saw quite a lot of rain coming down. The wind even gusted to tropical storm force, didn't quite get there at sustained, but we saw this rain coming down in sheets right outside of Landis, and you really saw this effect right across the entire FSU area. Additionally, there was a lot of rain on the roads and ponding got up to about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So it was a little bit hazardous conditions as Mindy made its way through. But how was Mindy for you, Chandler?
Well, on my way back, I got a little bit soaked just walking back from the studio. But it's definitely been a bit of a rainy night. It was definitely a little more on the dangerous side, especially if you were driving. But, of course, it is what it is. You got to be prepared no matter what.
Exactly, yes. Definitely, Mindy is a kind of storm that you can't underestimate. We actually just saw it as an invest only about a few hours before it made landfall, and it rapidly strengthened up to a tropical storm very quickly. If it had more time over water, it is very likely that it could have been a more dangerous storm. Fortunately, it wasn't, but we still saw a significant amount of power outages even here in the Tallahassee metro area. So overall, we can say Mindy, despite being a tropical storm, did have some pretty serious impacts for the metro area.
That is right. Of course, it's always good to stay weather aware, even with these types of systems that don't look like they'll produce anything. And of course, these categories, even getting upgraded into a tropical storm, it just acknowledges the winds got stronger, but it was still going to create a lot of flooding. And that's something to always acknowledge, especially during this time of year, just with these storms potentially training over us.
Right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this. This is a very informative segment about Mindy, but now we're going to pass things off to the wall and talk more about our weather.
That's right, Robert. We're going to take a closer look at what is going on in Florida today. Current temperatures 83 in Tampa, a bit warmer down south, 88 degrees in Key West, and 85 here in Tallahassee. As for our dew points, it was a muggy day out today. 75 in Tampa, 76 in Key West, and 69 in Tallahassee. So even with that cloud cover and lower temperatures, it still feels like a really humid, miserable day outside. Our satellite is showing those storms continuing to move through Florida following Mindy that crossed across Tallahassee this morning. So storms are still going to be lingering over tonight, as you can see Thursday at 6:10 right now. And those storms are still making their way through. Taking a closer look at Miami, You see those storms continue to move through. Miami itself looks like it's going to be getting a little bit of a drier time for a little while, but some more storms may manage to make their way in later tonight. Then you see storms in the central Florida continuing to make their way through. Right now, Tampa is getting quite a bit of rain. So if you're planning on going out tonight, you're probably going to want to check that radar. Not looking like the greatest night to go out. Jacksonville, however, is a bit clearer. We have some cloud cover and a little bit of scattered showers, but overall looking a bit better than down south. And for the rest of Florida, you can see those scattered showers are continuing as we see across much of Florida right now. Hopefully that'll clear out and be a little bit better tonight. For Florida right now, for the next 3 days in Miami, looking at highs in the 90s once again, with high of 89 on Sunday and storms continuing. So hopefully Friday and Saturday will be your best nights to go out. Make sure you're planning accordingly. Moving on to Orlando, 90 degrees again on Friday and Saturday, hopefully cooling off on Sunday with 89 degrees. Once again, over the next 2 days, you need to look out for those scattered showers. Jacksonville, 80s, so we're a bit cooler up here in Jacksonville. 84 degrees tomorrow, 86 on Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully no rain. We're looking at partially cloudy skies to cloudy skies for the next 3 days. In Pensacola, 88 degrees on Friday and Saturday, and 87 on Sunday with sun. Much different from the rest of rest of Florida. As for tonight, 77 in Tampa, 77 in Miami, and 69 in Tallahassee, so cooling off a little bit. And for tomorrow, 88 degrees in Tampa, 92 in Miami, and 85 in Gainesville. So we're once again going to be seeing those warmer temperatures. Probably still going to be humid as well. We'll see over the next few days what is upcoming next. And we're going to pass things off and go over our next segment.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Here we are, one of the best days of the year, the kickoff of the NFL. On this beautiful Thursday night in Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Should match up for a great match tonight. We've got Dak Prescott finally returning for the Cowboys, who have unfortunately had a very series of unfortunate seasons in the past 2 to 3 seasons. So they're looking to pick it up. And those Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming off a red-hot season where they just actually won the Super Bowl with their new savior, Tom Brady. So they'll be looking to keep the energy rolling into tonight, where in Tampa Bay it's going to be mostly cloudy with 78 degrees. Should be very nice weather, but we do got to watch out for those winds that I mentioned earlier, especially for kickoffs. In and around the Tampa Bay area, we've got 77 here in St. Petersburg, 77 in Tampa, 74 up in Braden, 76 in Clearwater, and 76 a little bit down south in Sarasota. Very mild temperatures throughout their viewing area over there. Over the next 48 hours, the Tampa Bay area will be receiving a good amount of rainfall, as well as the rest of Central Florida. So that'll be something to watch out on, especially if you're going to be in Tampa this weekend. Maybe you're going home, maybe you're actually going down for the game, going to stay there for a few days. You might have some wet weather following the game, but tonight you should be in the clear. And here's the next 3 days in Tampa. We're going to have a 50% chance of rain for tomorrow with a high of 88. That high is going to increase to 89 degrees with about a 30% chance of thunderstorms. And on Sunday, should get up to a toasty 90 degrees, and those rains should subside. But for now, we're going to take a look at the local with Robert.
Thank you, Josh. Right, we have a little bit of a stormy pattern coming into here, and it was really accelerated by Mindy coming through and dumping all that rain on us. But right now, you can see outside of Doak Campbell Stadium, a really nice sunny end to today. Quite the difference from yesterday when we were getting drenched by rain. Right now, it is going to be 85 degrees and mostly cloudy, as you can see here outside some clouds just behind the stadium. Those winds are going to be fairly light right now, winds coming from the west at about 5 miles per hour. So honestly, not that bad of a day for us here, particularly compared to yesterday. The big weather patterns in the region are lots of dry air over Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. However, as you look closer to home, we do have a little bit more of a moist pattern here. Some of these storms are getting fed by this Gulf moisture coming up into the Tallahassee area. Most of this rain activity staying in the Gulf for us, but we are seeing some spotty pop-up showers here with all this upper level water vapor. You can really see this northern motion coming from the Gulf here and providing some of this fuel for some of these storms to come into the area.
Right now, though, the main concern for showers and storms is down closer to Tampa and Orlando, where the biggest amount of rain is coming in. You can really see one of our biggest weather stories, though, right here on the satellite. Look at that. That's Hurricane Larry right there, still churning out in the Atlantic. It's going to be a big weather maker for you if you're going out to the beach. You're going to see some of those swells, but otherwise, not that big of a thing for the United States. Otherwise, got quite a lot of rain along this frontal boundary. Going to be a little bit of an issue for you along the I-95 corridor if you are commuting tonight. Some rain out in the west, not a lot, but we are seeing some more rain. It is, of course, always good because they are in quite a drought right now. But for most of the central corridor of the nation, including my home of Dallas, pretty dry for most of us. Again, a little bit more of a moist pattern here, not really making it to Tallahassee. And as a whole, we're seeing that moisture in the air, but not as much storms as it is in the Gulf. So with these warm temperatures, these 80s, 85, 84, we do also have these very moist dew points. 70s up in Bainbridge and Thomasville, just a hair drier here in Tallahassee at 69, but you can really see that down close to Apalachicola at 78. It's going to be very humid for us today right now. And heat index, really talking about this humidity, 89 Tallahassee, 90 Quincy, better than earlier. We were seeing 90s, 92. Now it's a little closer to the bottom of 90, but again, as you get closer to the Gulf, you're seeing that 93 there. So as a whole, very wet. We're going to see this moisture move out of the region as we go into Friday, but those of you on the east side of our viewing area are going to see more in the way of storms. But the week ahead is going to be a little bit of a wet one. You can see 20% all across the map here, but as a whole, it's going to be mostly 80s and 70s. What do you think of that, Chandler?
I think that that is a really interesting story, although we aren't as hot as it is out west. Looking at 92 in Albuquerque, we have these pinks that signal above 100 degrees, but we are warmer than when you look up in the northeast. 74 in Boston, they're seeing some showers right now, and we have 79 in Washington, D.C. with some clouds. I'll take that in September. However, I do like those cooler temperatures. And you can see that those dew points are definitely hugging the coast, and Florida sticks out like a green thumb, as always. And then we have some drier air over the Rockies and the desert southwest, as is usually the case during this time of year. And you can see that there's a high-pressure system really ruling the southeast right now, really steering Mindy out to sea, and we have a low-pressure system that is providing that rain for the northeast. And also, as Robert pointed out, we do have Larry that's sneaking in on the very far right of your screen. Overall, pretty busy in the east, and we have some showers in the west that they do need. We have a lot of different watches and warnings here that usually signal fire emergencies and such. So, of course, with them being as dry as they are, it is a wonderful sight to see a little bit of that rain starting to make its way. Looking at more of the satellite and radar, the northeast definitely getting pummeled by some of these showers that are very heavy in some spots, especially in parts of Rhode Island right now, Connecticut, and of course, with them having dealt with flooding from the remnants of Ida, this isn't the greatest sight to see coming into September. But looking out in the north, the Midwest, really seeing nothing out of the ordinary except for blue skies and maybe some clouds and a little bit of showers up above Minneapolis. And looking at the Southwest, we're seeing much drier conditions until you get over into California. They're seeing a few pop-up showers, and that is a good signal for them because they are in that drought. California in an exceptional drought, and that stretches up into Nevada and up into parts of Oregon. Looking at Arizona, they have recovered a bit from their severe drought, and that does have an effect from the monsoonal rains that they were just experiencing. And you can see in Albuquerque, they are dealing with some more of that extreme drought, especially over close to El Paso and that area. Looking at the rest of the national outlook, you can see that there are some chances for pop-up thunderstorms out in the west. That isn't a great sign because usually that means there could potentially be some lightning, and so we could see a fire starter or two. Also some pop-up showers across the eastern seaboard. And looking into the next day, tomorrow, well, maybe some pop-up showers again in the west, and that isn't a great sign. We have a marginal outlook as well in Oregon, so stay weather aware in that regard. And then in Florida, we do have that marginal risk as well that Josh pointed out earlier. Looking at day 3, again, more of the same with more potential for thunderstorms to pop up across the northern Rockies, stretching into the Great Plains and the Midwest. And the same story for Florida. And looking at tonight's forecast, you can see 60s all across the Great Lakes, and then getting into more of the upper 60s once you get into the desert, southwest, and the south. And looking at tomorrow, 80s for the south and 90s for the west. Same story as always for the summer, but I'll toss things off to Jonathan to talk about the tropics.
Yeah, so Chandler just said same story as always, and unfortunately, our hurricane season this year has appeared to be very similar to last year, in which, notice, we're about halfway through the season, and the entire first half of names, Anna through Kate, has been exhausted. Notable names, Ida on there, creating damage from southern Louisiana all the way up the coast. Then right now we have a major hurricane named Larry and, of course, Mindy that impacted Tallahassee last night. So we're going to take a look at what's the current picture on satellite and radar right now. Notice there's this swirl, this little swirl. It's kind of covered up by the radar right now. As we're losing daylight, visible satellite does tend to fade. But under this little swirl right here is Tropical Depression Mindy, which is the system that impacted us here in Tallahassee last night. And then the big swirl over the coast, not over the coast, but way past the coast over near Bermuda, that is going to be Hurricane Larry, which has been a major hurricane that has tracked all the way across the Atlantic over the past few days. Looking at our infrared satellite, you can tell that Larry is a very robust cyclone. It is weakening as it moves over the colder waters of the North Atlantic, but it's spent over 4 days at major hurricane strength. That is Category 4 or Category 3 hurricane strength. Winds were over 120 miles per hour for a very long time with this system. So a very powerful tropical cyclone as it moves northward. Mindy behind me down here, not as impressive on satellite, and that is because Mindy is a dying cyclone. But as we go ahead and look at our projected paths, notice Hurricane Larry's going to weaken down to a Category 1 by tomorrow morning at 90 miles per hour. And then it's going to speed up as it begins what we call an extratropical transition. And that's going to be when the storm decides to go from a warm core system that feeds off of its own energy to when it's over the colder waters of the northern Atlantic and the Arctic Ocean, it's going to start to weaken and become a cold core cyclone. But the winds are going to stay strong as it begins to impact Atlantic Canada and Newfoundland. So if you're watching this from Newfoundland, make sure you're taking a look out. Make sure you're getting your hurricane supplies ready because Larry is coming. On the other hand, Mindy is not coming. Mindy is dying. It is going to be sheared to death by the outflow of Larry as it moves eastward rather quickly across the Atlantic. Right now, as of a 5 p.m. advisory, it has been downgraded to a tropical depression with 35-mile-per-hour winds, and it is rapidly moving northeast at 23 miles per hour. But tropical storm hurricane season is not over yet, and notice on either side of me right now, we have 2 areas to watch. We have an area off the coast near the Cabo Verde Islands that has a medium chance of formation. That area is luckily going to recurve, but in the same way that Mindy formed and Ida formed and a lot of other cyclones have formed, we're going to have to watch an area down by the coast of Nicaragua for the next few days. And now I'm going to pass things off to Chandler to take a look at our local once again.
That is right. We'll take a look at that local. Looking at Doak Campbell Stadium, pretty as always. We have the sun that's trying to set here in the next few hours. We have some cloud cover that's really pulling in. That is going to keep us a little bit on the warmer side tonight. Looking at the current temperature, it's 85 degrees with mostly cloudy skies and winds coming out of the west at 5 miles per hour. So pretty much we're dealing with what we had yesterday with all the clouds, but thankfully none of the rain. Looking at the satellite and radar, all these showers are south of Blountstown. So we aren't dealing with anything here in Tallahassee as far as rain goes, which is a blessing. But we can see these showers that are moving back off into the Gulf and onto the coast. And looking at the wind speeds, they're very variable, like Jonathan was mentioning earlier in the show. So we have winds coming out of the south near the coast, winds coming out of the northwest associated with Mindy's Pool out in Donaldsonville. And Looking at the dew points, well, we have a lot of moisture, like Robert was mentioning earlier. 69 degrees here in Tallahassee. That is very tropical and humid. And looking at Apalachicola, it's 78. That is really, woo, I would not want that. Nope. But Tallahassee, 85 degree temperature, and Apalachicola at 83. And looking up at Bainbridge at 85 degrees. So typical for this time of year. And with those dew points, combining with that temperature, we're seeing heat indices above 90 for most areas. Here in Tallahassee, we're flirting with 90 at 89 degrees. Looking at next 24 hours, we see the showers really pull away and the clouds pull away, and then we see some showers possibly return with a more easterly flow of winds. Looking at the day planner for the next day and tomorrow, we have more heating, and we'll get up into the 72 at 9 a.m. The clouds will clear by 12 p.m., and we'll have 82 as our temperature. And then by 3 p.m., we'll have scattered showers with a high around 87. And looking at Saturday, we'll have another game against Jacksonville State. Hopefully we'll win. And we can expect temperatures to be right around 80 at kickoff and then cool down to about 73 degrees by the end of the game. For the week ahead, well, again, mentioning Friday, we will see some of those showers potentially creep in over the afternoon, but it's really going to be the same story for the rest of the week. Saturday, we'll thankfully be able to enjoy that football game without the showers, but looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Wednesday and Thursday, you can see just a lot of possible pop-up showers, but enjoyable weather overall. But now let's go to the desk for some closing action.
Thanks, Chandler. I don't know about you, Josh, but I sure am excited for that game this weekend. Hopefully those scattered showers will hold out.
Of course, I am too, and it looks like we'll have a pretty good chance. You know, there might be a couple here and there, but I bet you with the luck of the Noles, we'll definitely have at least a clear break during that game time.
Yeah, after that close game last week, it's going to be a fun one this week. Hopefully we can stay away from those showers and have a great weekend after these storms that have continuously come through this week.
Of course, you know, it's pretty crazy how these storms can just pop up out of nowhere in the Gulf because of those super warm waters. Creates a lot of convection. Those storms can pop up out of nowhere, so you always have to be vigilant during hurricane season, especially from the months of August on to at least October. Very, very strong season definitely during
Make sure you're always keeping up to date with your local forecast office and tune in here every night 6 to 6:30 with FSU weather, and we'll help give you the latest and keep you up to date.
Right, and maybe for the rest of this weekend, we'll dry up a little bit from all that rain that we saw Wednesday, Thursday night, last night, Wednesday night. I definitely heard it when I was sleeping. It was pretty crazy, very windy too.
Definitely. I woke up and heard that wind howling past my window this morning.
So you can give us a follow on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather to keep up.
Like us on Facebook at FSU Weather.
And you can always give us a follow on YouTube and watch us live at the same handle, FSU Weather.
Follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather as well, and send us those pictures. We'd love to have them on the show.
Yeah, especially during storm season. A lot of people probably were out taking pictures and videos at night. Of course, it was dark. You couldn't really see much, but we definitely saw, even in the studio today, some of the impacts from even a tropical storm. Very, very strong winds, crazy rain.
I'm student meteorologist Melissa Geiger.
And I'm student meteorologist Josh Green. Here's a great look at your week ahead. Hope you have a great Thursday afternoon.
Good night, Tallahassee.